how can dog owners maintain a healthy perspective on competition and avoid burnout in the dog-related sports?
Do all the things we've just talked about.
Yeah.
But one of the big ones is figuring out what I feel is figuring out your why.
Oh,
Why, why are you training? Why
yeah.
are you going to class?
Yeah.
Why are you competing? One of the things that I did at a big event 2 summers ago was I knew we were having a lot of weave pull problems. And I knew that they probably wouldn't be fixed. They're fixed now, by the way. It's taken a year. Yes, thank you. I'll say fixed in that it's meeting my criteria at the moment. There's
Right.
room for improvement, but I am currently satisfied with where we are at. I'm calling it a win for the moment. But I knew that regardless of whether or not our weave pull performance was going to be perfect, it was highly unlikely that me and my dog would be a competitive team in that environment. We were not making the top 10 or the top 3. And that it's not negative thinking, that was fact. Is regardless of how brilliantly she did, it was unlikely based on the competition that we were going to come anywhere near the podium.
Right.
And so I really was trying to figure out, why on earth am I going to this thing? Like, what are we going to get out of it? And so one of the questions I actually asked myself is, well, what would I enjoy about this venue and about this event if I didn't bring any dog?
Hmm.
And I know that I would really enjoy watching these really highly skilled competitive teams running the courses. Well, maybe I shouldn't just be sitting in my car or at my chair then. I should maybe go watch some of the runs without my dog, because that's something I would enjoy if my dog hadn't been there. And I made time. It was a 4-day event. I made time every single day to spend time watching all these really incredible teams, and it really enhanced my experience, because one of the reasons I was there is because agility is cool.
Yeah.
It's really fun to watch. And if I didn't spend any time watching, because I was sitting there visualizing my course for 3 hours, I would have really missed out on something that I find to be great. It's one of the good reasons to go do the sport, is to watch other really high level teams do it. So my why, like, what am I getting out of it? But what is my dog getting out of this?
Right.
And if I can figure out all those whys, like for instance, if you love going to trials because it's a really great social opportunity, or you go to your class because you love your classmates, then getting the cue or running a perfect run is not why you're there.
Right.
And getting fixated on that when you're actually there because you love to see people and chatting about dogs and loving on your dogs. If that's the reason you're there, then remembering why you're there can really help you stay focused on what your purpose is.
Right. Very good. Very, very good. Hmm.
Another thing is to make sure you just know what your job is. You can't control your dog. So
Right.
know what your job is and walk into that space every single time, determined to do your job the best you know how to do your job.
I'd like you to repeat that, because I think, especially as green meaning new,
Yep.
novice people coming into the ring, it's their first couple of trials. You know what? Forget that. Even in a non-competitive context, I see it come up against it a lot amongst pet owners as an instructor, that that you can make your dog do things, and that's not. I mean, you can if they're forced on the end of a leash, or you're using electronic devices that scare the crap out of them or cause punitive pain and punishment.
Or they're hungry and are compelled to do what you're asking because you have their required nutrition.
Yeah, so so yeah, you can make them, but in the end, the results are probably not what you're going to hope for.
Are you both going to end up being glad you're doing this thing together?
Not likely.
Right? So do your job the very best you know how to do it. Show up, as I've recently reset some of my goals. One of my new goals now is to show up with excellence.
Ooh.
And I have lots of criteria. So I don't, that's not a woo-woo, mythical experience for me. For me, that means have my stuff prepared and packed the night before, show up in enough time to orient and figure out where everything is, to get into the right crate placement, to park my car in the right place, to check the running order, to take my dog for a pee, to stretch them and warm them up, to do the practice jump, to walk the course. All of those things is my version of how I would show up with excellence, to be a good co-competitor. Right? How can I be an excellent peer? To me, that's part of showing up with excellence. Am I successful in all of these things? No, not always. In fact, probably infrequently. I'm never going to likely hit every single one of these every single time, but that's what I'm aiming for.
Right.
And if I do my job to the level I would like to do my job, then the rest of it is mostly beyond my control. And I can do as much as I can to mitigate and improve my dog's performance, but at the end, I can't control it. I can control me. So I show up doing my job the best I know how to do it, and the cards fall where they may.
Right. Right.
So to that end, video everything. So we're kind of going over a lot of the points again, is video absolutely everything. Take your time and be disappointed. And then shake it off, review your video, figure out maybe what actually happened, what needs to happen next. Is it something you can fix now, or is it on your training list now? Which, by the way, your training list is never fulfilled.
Never, yeah, it doesn't end.
Ever be finished. As soon as you got those weave poles and you move on to the teeter-totter will be finished and your weave poles will have fallen apart again. Yep. It never ends, I'm afraid. So be warned.
Yep.
There's always tweaks to make. So make your goals, have your plan, stick to it. So if you're going to go practice something in the ring and you've got your toy, you're running for exhibition only perhaps, or you're practicing a start line stay, just because it went well, do not be tempted to now go run the whole course. Your goal was to practice your start line, and then you were going to run out of the ring and reward your dog. Do what you planned to do. Right. If you have one way that you wanted to run the course and you see somebody afterwards running it differently than you, do not change your plan. It is a bad idea.
Done that. It doesn't work well.
It never works. Never works. So whatever your plan is, if you're planning on running the course and not stopping or not redoing anything, then do that.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I actually trained myself to be over attentive to knocked bars, because in practice, whenever my dog knocked a bar, I stopped dead. Mm-hmm. And then when I got to the competition ring, guess what my brain fixated on? Mm-hmm. My plan after that was, no matter what happens, keep running.
Right.
And I actually have to ask now, when I finish a course, did we knock any bars? Because I worked really hard to stop stopping and to stop trying to pay attention to that and just keep going, because once they're down, they're down. There's nothing I can do about it.
Right.
And becoming even distracted for half a second is half a second where I've lost all of my focus, and usually things get worse after that. Yes. So I had to practice how I wanted to be. I made my plan and I just followed through with it. I could make a new plan later if I want to. Right. I can find out if it worked or didn't work. Maybe it didn't work, but I followed it. Celebrate. That is so important. So many people, and me especially, I've got little bitty dogs. There are, at worst, there's us in our height category. I am first place every time. I can walk away with that first place ribbon no matter what, because it's only us. And so it's really easy to say, well, it was just us. Right? Or there was only 2 other dogs, so obviously I suck if I come in third. Or, oh, the win was too easy because there was only 2 other dogs. Oh, we just got lucky. There wasn't really a lot of competition. Well, we were the only ones entered. I sucked. And these are all things that I've said to myself and I've said to other people. You know, that person who's competing with a border collie who has 80 other people in their class, and they're jealous or upset that you got your second place ribbon, and you immediately diminish your own success by saying, well, you know, I was going to get a ribbon anyway. Boy, that's not fair to you.
No.
It's not fair to your other competitors.
Right.
Because the reason you're there and the reason you got anything at all is because you showed up.
Right.
You showed up to do it. You trained your dog. You worked hard. You need to celebrate that as best you can. The other one is, you know, oh, I'm a really sucky handler, but my dog's really good, so they saved me. Well, somehow you both got around the course, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't your dog's idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They didn't drive you. They didn't drive you there.
Right. It's true.
So, you know, good, bad, or ugly, and we've all had all of those.
Yeah.
You know, you wouldn't be there if it wasn't for you, and you need to take some credit for that. The other one is, oh, well, this kind of course was designed for a, I don't know, big dog, small dog, herding dog, not herding dog. You know, oh, we were just lucky that it was a course that was good for us and not good for somebody else. Well, there's a reason that you were successful, and it's because you kept showing up to do the training.
Yeah. Yeah. Nicely said.
Right. So I had to stop telling myself, well, then the one that saved me the most actually was, do you know why there's hardly any tiny lap dogs in agility? Is because tiny lap dogs are really hard. They are
agility with. Yeah.
really hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's only 4 of us. That's because only 4 of us showed up with our little tiny lap dogs and said, we got this. We're going to put the time in to make this happen. So the large classes of dogs that are just dying to do work. And again, that's a bit of that's again disrespectful to those people who've put in the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. Everyone's got their own challenges, but if there's only 2 of you showed up,
right,
to do this really hard thing together.
Right.
And that has to be, you have to give yourself credit for that. And it's hard sometimes if you spent a lot of time dismissing your successes.
Right.
Seek a support system. Find your people. One of the tricks I use is I greet as many people as I can. I say hello or good morning. I don't make it about me if they don't respond. They're probably in their own heads. They're stressed out, or they showed up late, or they weren't prepared and they didn't even hear me. That's fine. They don't have to say hello. I'm going to say hello to them. I look at the gate sheet and I learn people's names. So if I see a run that I really enjoy or a behavior I really enjoy, like, look at that weave pull entry. The rest of the thing was a disaster, but that weave pull entry was amazing. I'll actually look and see what that person's name is, and I'll use their name and say, what a great weave pull entry.
Nice.
I try to make those connections, you know, and they might immediately, because a lot of us do this. Oh gosh, yeah, she took down like 7 jumps. And I'm going to let that one go. That's a them problem. That's a negative self-talk cycle. I do that too. I dismiss people's praise.
Right.
I've learned to just say, yes, thank you. I might not even agree, but you can say, yes, thank you.
Right.
Love, that was a fabulous, fabulous dog walk contact. Thank you. It was. I'm going to throttle my dog later for ignoring every other thing I said out there. But yes, it was a beautiful, I'm kidding.
And I just want to clarify that you don't mean throttle as in physically.
No, I'm kidding. But in your head, you're spinning a little bit about all the things that went wrong, which means you're likely also not going to see the things that went right. So taking those compliments is a big
excellent point.
Deal. And you might even want to let your trainer know that you're going to be there. A lot of people hide it for some reason, and I don't know why exactly. You might not want to invite your whole family to your first event. It may not go as you had hoped, even if the dog is brilliant in training. That might be a bit too much pressure for you. But let your trainer maybe know that you're going to be somewhere. And I know most trainers, if they're able and it's nearby, they'll try to show up and support you, which is exciting. And it's fun to have that support. So just let them know you're going to be there. And at the very least, they might give you some tips, or they just might say, awesome, good for you.
Yeah.
I hope you do well.
Yeah.
If they don't say awesome, good for you. I hope you do well. Then my last point is that you should avoid people who have a mindset that isn't aligned with how you'd like yours to be.
Right.
We're so social, and we're so designed to include ourselves in a group. And that's biologically relevant, that we need to protect ourselves by being in a group. And if the group you align yourself with are people who don't have the mindset that you would like to embody, then you should start to find people who do. I did my best to make friends with the people who ran their dogs the best to start with, because I wanted to absorb whatever it was they were doing,
right,
so that I could do things better, and maybe one day run how they run.
right.
But that works for mindset too.
Mm.
If the people in that group are trash talking everybody else and complaining about everything, it doesn't, as they say, it doesn't serve you.
Right.
It doesn't serve you to be stuck in a group that's fixating on everything that's wrong, because it really won't help you to move forward and to meet your own goals, because you're focusing on things that are often beyond your control.
Right.
Or things that just aren't important to begin with.
Right. Very good.
So find the people that you want to emulate, and they're going to be best friends with you whether they like it or not.
Well, if you have the same kind of mindset alignment anyways, there's a cohesiveness that's there anyway. So it's unlikely that you wouldn't be able to forge a deeper relationship or friendship together.
And one of the byproducts of shifting your mindset at events like this is there's, I guess it depends on how you perceive it, there can be benefits and there can be fallout, because as you're developing a new mindset, you may find that the people you've hung out with before no longer align with how you view things, and you may find it harder and harder to spend time with them. The advantage of shifting your mindset is that you will likely also attract people who appreciate your perspective and who would like to emulate you.
Right.
More people are watching than you might think, but not in a way that should upset you.
Right.
They will notice when you rise above.
Right.
And they will also notice when you react in the opposite way. Most of everything in the middle is all in your head.
Right.
But people gravitate towards people who, and this isn't to say that you should always just say good things and be positive. That's not what mindset is about, just being
I agree.
positive. Yeah. It's not even close.
Yeah.
Because again, you don't believe it.
Right. You're just tricking yourself.
You don't believe it. You're trying to trick yourself. And you can't trick yourself. It doesn't work. But if you truly start to perceive things in a goal-oriented way and celebrate your successes and reset your focus, you will start to attract other people who enjoy that energy and want to be part of that experience with you. And I've experienced that myself. I've had people stop by to chat and they're like, you've got a great vibe. And I can tell you that's not what people said to me.
Right.
Way back.
Yeah.
A few years ago, that I just kind of wondered why nobody dropped by to chat.
Right.
And maybe I'm noticing it more, but I've also had people mention like, yeah, that's a great way to look at it. Yeah, mindset work for the win.
Right. Well, thank you
believe
so
it or not, our overall performance has improved as well. It seems when I fixed my own mindset, everything else started to fall into place a little bit better. But thank you so much for having me. I love talking about this stuff, so I'm really glad.
Thank you for taking the time to share it with me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.